First of all, I went to University of Ibadan. That's where I did my civil engineering. And I finished in 1990. I happened to have been posted to Rivers State for my youth service. When I got to Rivers State, I was posted to then AP, African Petroleum. From where I was staying in OGR in Port Harcourt, I would just trek probably 15 minutes or so. I'll be at work. It wasn't difficult for me. And I had a free lunch, and as at that time, I was giving big money then. But all I would do when I get to place of work was be looking at pumps. No pumping machine where they're repairing pump. I was like, man, you're a civil engineer. What are you doing here? So I reached out to my dad. I knew I had one of my dad's friends who did civil engineering. He was then one of the top people in MP in Lagos. I said, I need to get into a construction company. Can't be doing pumps. It's not my future. Gave me a note to the then Spibatignos, or for short Spibat, the French construction company. They were just starting off the construction of the Eleme petrochemical plant then. So I collected the note. I went down to Eleme to go and locate the company. The distance I had to trek to get to where the office was like some kilometers, and it was deserted. This is a remote place, deserted. But I was determined I must get to the office. Eventually I got there. And when I got there, I still remember the secretary asking me, you want to work here? I said, yes, I want to work here. And then with no preparation, just as I got there, I should sit down. Interview immediately, written interview. They gave me, I still remember, gave me some elevations, calculate the cut and fill. And I just remember trapezoidal rule that we studied in school. I said, this is a piece of cake. And calculated everything. Gave to him, marked my papers, either 9/10 or 9.5/10. I can remember very well. Virtually got everything. So I got into the technical department, technical office. And so as I got there, I didn't joke with my work. I still remember very well the way I worked. I was very thorough in my work. I worked to the point, and it's not eye service. I'm not talking about eye service. I'm talking of really doing your job. We closed by 6. I gave my boss till that 6. Many times, my colleagues, 5 o'clock, they've already closed. They're already just gisting on their table and then relaxing. But I'll be there making sure I get that thing done. They will tell you, the boss has gone, the boss has gone. I just put my things inside and I go. I never knew that my diligence was being noted down. I didn't know. But I kept at my work. And that's one thing people should also learn, that wherever you find yourself, give your best. I wasn't looking at the money. I was just, I'm here to work. I want to give my best, and I was. Along the line, my boss then was a Frenchman, so he was transferred back to France. When he was transferred back to France, he wrote a note in French and said, that young boy, make him the head of the department. So that's how I began to rise till I left there. When I left there, that was probably late 94, the project was winding down. Went into a little going back to school, masters, and then also try my hands on a couple of projects here and there. Just trying to find your feet outside the office environment. Wasn't easy, a bit challenging. But one day, I was just at home when I got a call. One of my friends said he was coming to see me. We were both together at the Eleme Petrochemicals project. When he said, Mr. Rose wants to see you. I said, is he around? That was my former boss, the one that wrote the note that I should be made head of the department. He had come back at a higher post for the then LNG project. That's when LNG was just started. He said, he wants to see you. I said, no problem. Where is, he says in Bonny. I said, okay. Where is Bonny? I'd never been there before. He said, I'll take you there. I said, I should bring you. Because the way I saw work with him, I need to go back a little. The way I saw work with him, I can't remember how many engineers were sacked, but he never touched me. Because I would deliver that thing he told me to do. No jokes. I would deliver it. Even things that would challenge me, I would deliver. He knows. So when he came back, he said, anywhere you can find him, come bring him for me. So when I got to him, saw me, sorry, I said, I'm fine. He said, I want to employ you. I said, sir, I want to do contract. I said, no problem. Introduced me to some of the other people. I said, This my boy, give him something to do. So the first thing they gave me to do was a supply. I was to supply shackles. If you know shackles, they used to carry loads. You put it on the mouth of a crane, hook your load. So I ran down to Port Harcourt and I asked somebody, a friend, they told me to supply this, and he said, no problem, give me some amount. I think everything was about 39,000 or something thereabouts. I put it. They gave me the supply. They cut long story short. The supply that was 39,000. I will spend all the money. There will be no gain. Even for me to get to start to be a problem. And I just dumped it. But thank God for good friends. One of my friends, he just called me and said, Dele, this is your first job. Even if you don't make money on it, deliver this thing, whatever the cost. I can't forget. Many years later, I had to go and thank him for that counsel. He said, deliver it. So I bundled all the shackles, entered the boat, got to Bonny Island. And that was in my account that time, the last money was the 40,000. That's all I had. Carried the things down to the junction that will go into the estate. I couldn't pay transport to carry those shackles down to site. I was dragging shackles in sand. I mean, it wasn't funny. But one of the Julius Berger drivers saw me. Said, are you going to site? I said, yes. They are shopping. That's how I put the shackles and I delivered it. That was a turning point. I need to say, it was a major turning point. That I delivered that thing was a major turning point. The moment I did that, my former boss developed confidence. My boy seems to have come of age. If he could do this one, no problem. So he called me, says, okay, can you give him one of the smallest warehouses to do? And I had a team of hungry people who had seen the roughness of life. I mean, I just know what I went through. Within 1 week, I finished that warehouse. They couldn't believe it. I set it up within 1 week. All the other warehouses inside that place, all of them, we did them. And I'm talking of large, I'm not talking of small things. So God has helped me with these initial startups that I got exposed to the law of construction. I got exposed to a lot of structures design at my early stage, and they formed my foundation. Because at this LNG project and so on, I said that, well, let me now register a company. It was in 1997, during all this, I now registered Tola Contractors Nig. For me, entering into the industry and believing that I could make it, I would say God had a hand in it. I never imagined I would even start a construction company. Funny story, I was working in the Spielberg, as I was telling you. I had a friend, they were already doing contract. I didn't even know what contract was. To tell you how much I was buried in my job, I just concentrated on my job. They were already doing contract. They were in the company, they were doing contract as well, which I did it ought not to be so. But I concentrated on my job. So it was he was one that came to me one time and said, Dele, have we thought about registering a company? I said, how did you register a company? He said, I will register for you. So I just gave him 4 names. One of them happened to be Tola Contractors. So he went and registered for me. As register, I kept them in the cooler. I wasn't thinking about it. My own was just do my job, do it well, and go home. But when God's leading you to something, you will know. One of the days I was working in my office, I was on my table, buried on my table, a Filipino, I remember in Pablito, came to me, was looking at me the way I was looking. I said, made a statement, I said, you ought not to be here. I didn't forget. Say you ought not to be here. You ought to be managing your own business. So all those things God was kind of putting into me that, man, one day you're going to be on your own. So then we had one of the commissioners, so a friend introduced me to him and was building, and it got me involved, built house, built a school, and other projects like that. It was doing a lot in Bayelsa then. So that's how I began to get some workers together and start to experience construction firsthand on my own at the beginning. So with that experience, by the time I was called to come down to LNG project, I already had a team built up, good to go. So that's how we started Tola Contractors, and we entered into reconstruction.